You may have built success, mastered freedom, and broken all of the rules, but you still feel like something's missing. Maybe you're not the CEO of your life after all. If you're an entrepreneur, I want to welcome you to my channel. My name is Mason Kuhr. I'm the founder of the Stampede Network. This giant horse behind me, you probably don't see the whole thing. It's a holistic supplement brand. I've been able to help over 100,000 plus people transform their minds, shift their paradigms, and wake up to their full potential in mind, body, and spirit. And in the past few months, I've had this deep calling going on where it feels like God is really wanting me to share these messages. And I'm creating this deeper relationship that I struggled to create my entire life and surrender to that. And that's really what this video is about. So in this, I'm going to share 5 reasons why entrepreneurs struggle to know God and how to overcome those things. Here's the deal. Being an entrepreneur, someone who wants to create, you literally have to be rebellious to even want to do it. There has to be something low-key, a little bit mentally wrong. And I can tell you that from experience because you may have a grudge. You may feel like you've been controlled your whole life. You may just want to create something because you see things a different way than other people and the way they do things just doesn't make sense. You may also hate the idea of authority, and that can bother you just like it does me. You may not trust people in those positions to guide you in the right direction. And there may be a part of your identity that you've literally built up around carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. And you take pride in that because every time you feel like you're gonna drop it, you somehow find a way to pick it back up, keep moving forward, and then that reaffirms your identity that keeps you in this never-ending loop where you always have to carry the weight and the weight gets heavier and heavier while you're getting stronger and feeling good about that. Except the problem is that that leads to burnout. You're very familiar with that. And you know that that's not actually deep fulfillment and the satisfaction that you're looking for. So if that speaks to your soul, I want you to know this is all from experience too. And this is what I've been going through recently, coming to terms with, and really just changing the way I see things. I'm deeply spiritually inclined. And if you're watching this, that means you are too. You're seeking that deeper truth. You want to know who you are, and you're trying to become the most fulfilled version of yourself. So let's jump into those 5 roadblocks of why that's hard for you. Number 1 is self-reliance. In the West, I know you understand that we have this culture of hyper independence, wanting to create things, build things, and that's amazing. God literally created the heavens and the earth. It's in our nature to create things. But the thing is, it's so easy for us to be self-reliant to the point that we get so stubborn where we're not going to listen to anybody outside of us because we think they're wrong, we think they're dumb, we think they don't know what to do as much as we do. And so that leads to that feeling of forcing things, when you're not in the flow and you're just trying to do it because you think it's what you need to do. But isn't it funny how your most miraculous results usually came from you giving up? Like giving up what you were holding on to, not giving up overall, because I know that will not resonate with you. When you let go of how the things should have gone, that's when they went the way they actually needed to go. And so that self-reliance trap, it's hard because you can think to yourself, you know what, there's no one outside of me other than myself who can get me to where I need to go. And with self-reliance, you lack surrender. And without surrender, you lack the flow. The flow is what's going to get you to where you need to go. And God actually watches you when you're in that self-reliant phase. And he's like, okay, I guess you got it. He's going to figure it out until he feels the pain enough where he feels like he's going to collapse and I get to come and help him out if he asks me. The way God works is by obeying what he wants you to do. And I know you just hearing that right now, it may make you cringe a little bit when you hear the word obey, because I know it does me. I think of 1984, George Orwell. But that obeying is actually obeying the only one who truly cares about your well-being to the point that he would create you to experience it. And so getting rid of that self-reliance, that's what really moves the needle more than anything. The second reason it's hard for entrepreneurs to know God is aversion to authority. Listen, I touched on this. I do not like religion personally. I think religion gets people stuck in boxes. And if you look at the Pharisees, that's exactly what was going on in the Bible, right? They're so stuck with rules. They're so stuck on dogma, how things should be, trying to fit a certain image that they actually don't conform their heart into the image they're meant to live in. In John 15:5, it says, "For whoever abides in me and I in them will bear much fruit, for you can do nothing without me." And that's what most religion and authority forgets. They forget about the actual relation of abiding in each other. You have to be one with God. God has to be one with you. But so many people focus on being one with the rules and the books and the way things should be that they forget it altogether, and their heart gets hard. It closes, and then they actually forget what it's like to actually relate with God. I've said actually so many times, but it's just facts. And so when you hear things like religion, it naturally makes you want to cringe. I know I can go into churches sometimes and I'm like, yo, this energy is so fake. These people are not actually doing what they say they do. They just sing and dance about it all day. And it's great to worship, but the best form of worship is actually listening to what you are commanded to do by God and allowing yourself to transform from his guidance. And most people don't want to do that part because it's hard and it doesn't feel that good. And so the idea of having an authority above you and the idea of God, it may feel like you have someone who's trying to keep you low and beneath them in a way that's minimizing you. But actually, God wants to raise you up. God wants you to become the fullest version of you because you are literally made in the image of God, as spoken in Genesis. So it's not this authoritarian God who's trying to keep you low. He's more of a mentor who's wanting to raise you up. And because of that, you can actually let down your guard a little bit and relax when you're being guided. But speaking about relaxing a little bit, let's move on to number 3. The third thing that makes it hard for entrepreneurs to know God is that we can focus on achievement so much. And this is a paradigm shift that is extremely uncomfortable when you understand what I'm talking about. A lot of us have grown up in environments where we had to prove ourselves. We wanted to prove our worth. We wanted to show we are valuable. We wanted to let the world know who we are by being better at other people than doing something, creating something. And so achievement was the way that we've created our identity. Except the funny thing is that God literally does not care about that at all. Achievement comes as a byproduct of following God. This is why Christianity, for example, is about being saved by grace through faith. All you have to do is believe. Yes, you have to repent for things and give things up, but you have to believe. That means there's nothing you have to actually do to prove yourself. You don't have to be perfect. And that's the hardest paradigm shift. I myself, listen, I've gone a long time in my life wanting to prove myself and that I was worthy of things. And then after a while, I realized after going through a lot of pain and getting burnt out and being tired of proving myself, I realized, you know what? I'm not actually giving myself the love that I need. Why am I trying to prove to myself that I'm this certain person or this certain way of being? Why does that even matter? And it was almost like I just quit doing that. And as soon as I sat into the tension of what it feels like to do absolutely nothing and allow things to unfold, it was so hard. It was so difficult. I wanted to get up. I wanted to do things. I wanted to go do some push-ups. I wanted to go check some emails. I wanted to create something, make videos, whatever it was. And it was so uncomfortable for me to literally sit there and do nothing. And in Psalms, it says, "Be still and know that I am God." And most people do not understand how deep that actually goes, but it's telling you to literally sit still, be with yourself, and know that God is with you. It's all being taken care of. And so that's a huge tension point that if you're an entrepreneur, you'll really understand how difficult it is for you to not try and achieve love. You think you have to achieve it to receive it, but in fact, you just have to believe it to receive it. It's a bar. That's so good. And so I challenge you to do this. Meditate and literally sit still more during the day to see how much things can move on without you having to get involved with them that much. Embrace more of being rather than doing. That is the king energy that you want to embody. All right, number 4, it's hard for entrepreneurs to give up control. I myself have had a controlling personality in my life. I can walk into a room and pretty much determine what goes on in that room. And if you're an entrepreneur, you're probably good at that. Building teams, getting people to do things. But the thing is, we don't realize sometimes that can be for our own selfish reasons unless we really check ourselves where we're at. And so the idea of giving up that control, again, it's uncomfortable too, because you're putting your life in someone's hands when you've been trying to prove that you can take care of yourself your entire life. You're allowing your identity to be molded by someone that you can't even see, which is probably the scariest thing for you to do because you're so used to seeing it to believe it instead of believing it to see it. And even as a visionary, if you have believed it to see it, you're still thinking that it's your vision. But in fact, all of those things were given to you by God. And so when you let go of control, I'm telling you right now, it's going to feel like you fell into a freaking void, dude. Like it's going to feel like you are constantly free falling. Feels like you're constantly dying, and there's going to be a lot of emotions that come up. You may feel a lot of terror, you may feel a lot of sadness, you may feel a lot of anger, whatever it is. You're just going to feel a lot because you're going to have no choice but to feel when you're not doing anything. But if you can actually let go of that control and tell yourself, I trust that there is a loving creator in my life who truly knows what's best for me better than I know for myself. I'm going to give full control to them for just a week and see what happens. And you could even go a day and just see what happens. Say that out loud. If you can consistently make that a habit, that is moving with faith by actually moving less and being more. So let go of control and allow the hand from above to guide you. And finally, the fifth reason, and this is one of the hardest ones because it's the sneakiest. Every time you win, you reaffirm your ego, which builds your pride. And so that is what literally tells us the same story over and over. As I said earlier about holding up the world, carrying the weight on your shoulders. Every time you win the battle of feeling like you're going to drop it, you just keep telling yourself that you're stronger. And because of that, you're convincing yourself that you're the one picking it up. But what if, in fact, on top of that thing that you're picking up, there was a string going up to heaven where you were getting some weight taken off while you're learning how to lift? And so whether you know it or not, you were getting assisted from something that you couldn't even see. And I can tell you this from experience, because back in 2021, I was living in my parents' basement, had no money left after trying to build the Stampede network for like 8 months. And there's finally one day in December, it was actually December 4th, 2021. It was the first time I really got down on my knees and I gave everything to God. I said, I fully surrender to you, God. If you're there, please help me out of this. I will give you everything. I will fully commit to my purpose, whatever that is, and I will go all the way. And the next day, and this is documented on my TikTok, December 5th, 2021, my first video I ever put out for B-Bread, like a real video, it hit over 1.2 million views in a day. And it sold out the store 10 times over. And that was one of those things where when you experience that, you can't help but acknowledge that there was something outside of you that did that. All I did was stand on camera and hold up some Spartan bee bread. That was it. And it changed everything. It changed the entire trajectory of my life. And it's funny, I know in your life, there's been times where you've probably punched against the wall so many times that nothing was working. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, something worked and it broke through almost around the same time when you quit. And so what if that was a moment where you were actually telling God, whether you knew it or not, that you couldn't do it and that you needed God? And so what if you consciously chose to do that more? How many more miracles would you experience in your life? Think about that. And so now that you know these 5 reasons, let's reframe everything. I want you to start changing how you see God overall. You're rebellious. I want you to realize too, Jesus wasn't this little boyfriend type energy that everyone likes to sing about. Jesus was rebellious. He literally ran into a temple when money changers were selling stuff and transacting in the middle of a temple. He had a whip. He started whipping everything. That is nuts. Imagine someone in real life walks into a temple and starts whipping people because they're doing little side transactions. Like you're with your boy over in the corner and you're doing some like little deal on the side and some guy comes up and he starts whipping you. That's nuts. That's some hardcore rebel energy. And so if you change the way you see God altogether, it'll change the way you relate with him. And you'll realize he's actually more cool than you think. I used to think Christianity and all this stuff, I thought it was so like weak and disempowering. I felt like it was taking away my power and strength. But when I changed the way I saw it, it changed everything for me. And I realized too that the freedom I was seeking on the outside, I actually gained the true freedom, the freedom from the mind. That means getting rid of anxiety, fears, feeling like things are out of my control. All those emotions that can come with that, they were gone. Because yes, things are out of my control, but they're in the control of a creator who deeply cares about me. I didn't have to worry or fear about things as much because obviously it's a work in progress. Like I still worry about things at times and if they're going to work out because we're constantly building this muscle. but it reduced how much I had to think about that because I always know it's in the right hands. And so I want you to start thinking of God as a mentor instead of a boss. God is a mentor. He's a good father who wants to raise you to be the best version of yourself. He doesn't want to make you his slave. He cares about you. And this is the hardest paradigm shift I've had for my clients, the people I've worked with, these dudes. I've had guys who've literally gotten out of $50K worth of debt. I've had guys who miraculously found money to move out of their hometown. I've seen guys take their business from profiting 2K to 25K in literally 30 days by doing nothing other than letting go and letting God take the wheel. It's almost like as soon as they activated the muscle of faith, that's when things happened. And that is what happened. It was the same thing with me and the bee bread. It's an act of saying, you know what? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to give it to you, Big G. And when that happens, that's what makes room for miracles. And as an entrepreneur, I know you're a visionary. You have a way of seeing things that other people don't. Remember this. God is the ultimate visionary. Everything in the universe is in the sight, in the mind of God. And if you can trust the one who created vision in the first place, don't you think your vision's going to expand? Because it does. That's how it works. And so with this video, I want to just remind you, you're not being micromanaged by some annoying boss in the sky. Give your life and your path to the ultimate CEO. You don't have to be like everybody else. You can fully be yourself and still walk that path. And not only will you experience lasting success, but you're gonna learn how to thrive. So if this video helped you, check out the rest on my channel. I got some meditation videos, things that are gonna help you out. And if you're looking for some guidance from me to break through your current blocks, get to the next level and leave your old life behind so that you can live a life of fulfillment, you can apply through the description. The Inner Power Accelerator is my program to help you do that. Get to know God, walk with God, hear his voice every single day, and take yourself to the next level in life. Appreciate you tuning into this video. Hope it helped you. Let me know in the comments if it did, what questions you got next. I can make some videos on them. Hit me up on IG if you got any questions, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.